Whiskey Uniform 2 Delta, Whiskey Uniform 2 Delta. Whiskey Uniform 2 Delta, Whiskey Uniform 2 Delta.
Very good morning. You're 5 by 5. 55, my handle ended. QSL?
QSL, you're 5 and 7, 57 here in New Hampshire. My name is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilo, Echo. QTH is New Hampshire from Whiskey United 2 Delta.
Whiskey United 2 Delta. Sugar Papa is India, my job. That's on the 5 by 7. So you find it a good Yankee, my friend. Bye-bye.
So today I'm going to take the Double Sideband Novice 10 transceiver up this trail to a fire tower site and see if I can make some contacts on top. So I'd like to go through the basics of how you pack for an adventure like this. A day trip where you're just going up on top of a hill or a mountain. Obviously in your pack you need to have all of your food, snacks, and drinks. So I'm not going to cover that. But beyond that, you need to have, a cell phone with a rugged case and charging equipment, extra battery packs, a flashlight, and then if you're doing filming like I do, you need to have the spare batteries and your GoPro spare memory. For the GoPro, some portable tripods, that kind of thing for your filming. Let's concentrate on the antenna next. Now, this antenna setup is pre-tested. It's a simple 10-meter dipole. So, in other words, it's going to be about 60.5 feet long total, which is a very small dipole. It's got about 20 feet of RG240 low-loss cable, Ultraflex. That's probably overkill, but that allows me to put the dipole up over my head, gives me some slack. And then enough rope on the end so you can tie on a rock and pitch it over the trees, get the thing up in the air. Or form a sloper by just getting one side high and the other side sloped toward the direction you're interested in. I think the antenna is very important, that you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the match. I brought along an SWR meter, way oversized for a backpacking trip. There are smaller ways to tell if you're really putting out power. That's mostly what I was using it for. I knew the match was good on the antenna to start with, so that's not really a concern with the antenna. And in both locations, you can see that I had some trees up top. These are not really high mountains. These are small mountains here in southern New Hampshire. And I'm only about 35 kilometers from the coast. This gives me a gentle sloping direction to the coast. And I get good performance, and people say, "Are you cheating? Why are you talking to all of these stations with such low power?" Well, because I'm in a pretty good location, that's why. We're fairly close to the coast, and generally the landscape gently slopes down to the ocean from this location, if you were to look to the horizon. So even these simple antennas work well. And of course I ran into some issues with the band being hot over the weekend, but by the time I got out there on Wednesday and Thursday, the band had gone soft. And I had some windows where the band was working somewhat, but I heard many, many European stations calling and giving up because, quote unquote, the band wasn't working. So let's go over here to some of these other items. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, let's look at the radio stuff I brought. Basically, I brought the radio itself and a microphone. I mean, anything can go wrong. You might even want to bring a spare microphone. Also, I brought a small headset in case something would happen where I couldn't use the speaker. Basic tools, a small toolkit with all the screwdrivers and tweakers needed for the set. You might need tape, cutters, needle nose pliers, a small tool kit in other words. And then over here, the power system for the transceiver. I had 2 charged lithium-ion batteries. And these are okay. You might want to use something a little bit more substantial than that, but I had no problem using those. I never even used up one of them for the work I did over the last 2 days. This is a spare battery for this camera that I'm using. So, short of bringing your whole station with you, I think that having these basics in your backpack won't weigh you down too much for a day trip. Again, we're talking about a day trip here, where you're just going up the mountain, operating for 2 or 3 hours, taking the setup down, and then going back down the mountain. So you can see why most of the guys that do this type of mountain topping, they call it, use 40 meters or 20 meters where the band is open pretty much all the time and very dependable. Here on 10 meters, we're depending heavily on the sunspot cycle, cycle 25, which has been quite hot. The band is never really completely dead unless we have a solar event, which I think is what happened, causing the band to be fuzzy all week. But it will pop up again, and I'll be able to make contacts very easily, even from a disadvantaged location. No need for a mountaintop when you've got good conditions on 10 meters. So that's the rundown. That's what's inside the pack going up the mountain.
Just dripping.
Heading up the trail. I don't want to set up in the devil's den. I'm afraid nobody would hear the radio. I think I see a tower. So there's quite a few people over at the tower, so I came over to this big rock, which is about at the same height as the bottom, or a little higher. It's got a good view of the east. Once I get up on here, you'll see. That's the direction to Europe. So I'm going to set up a dipole probably between one of these trees and this pine tree. We'll see what I can get set up. So just using this lithium battery, throw it up into the tree. And the lithium cell is heavy enough to pull the rope up. That seems to work okay on this side for this tree. So I got an excellent shot up over that tree. Secured the bottom, dipole's in the middle. Now we'll pull it up on this side.
WA1 GZY, Harris Golf 3, Zulu, India Golf. George 3, Zanzibar, Italy, George.
So this is mountaintop setup number 2. This mountaintop has a little bit of graffiti on it, but I have a decent antenna. I've got a dipole up here. Off in the distance you can see to the east we have a lake wide open. I'd say this thing's up about 700 feet over the horizon at least. Great location, but the band is dismal. I've had 2 days with the band soft. Bad luck because I've got nice quiet conditions up here, beautiful weather, easy setup, and of course the band is crap. So the moral of this story is make sure you've got decent conditions before you go to the top of a mountain, that's for sure.